Hello, Stereotype Breakers. I haven't called you that before, but I love it. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you associate yourself with. But today we're going to be talking about the stereotype of you needing to be technical and do code in order to work in tech. Yes, I know that from personal experience. I worked at Google and I was not in a technical role, even though a lot of people on YouTube in the comments could not believe that it's possible not to be a developer when you're working at Google. There's so many different non-technical positions in tech, so if this is an industry that you want to get into, oh my god. So today we're going to be discussing some of the positions that you could look into and that you can use transferable skills to get into, or study and get some more knowledge in order to get there. So let's start with project manager. This is actually a position that I really wanted to get into at Google. Well, it was one of the positions that I was thinking of getting into when I was back at Google as the next position. Things worked out differently, but this position is awesome. And basically, as a project manager, you are leading a team of different types of contributors. So you might have developers, you might have designers, etc. You're managing a team on a project, trying to make sure that you are, everything is on track in terms of the scope, the timing, the cost, and the overall quality of the project. You essentially need to make sure that the project is on track and is addressing all of the goals and is within the constraints that have been set out before the project started. And some of the skills that you need in this role are communication, of course, leadership skills, negotiation, and managing stakeholders, because you are essentially managing so many different types of parties, types of people who are involved with this project. And a lot of companies use Scrum, which is an agile project management methodology. And being able to follow that is something that, and the technical sides of it, is something that a lot of companies are looking for in candidates. But there are a ton of different courses and certifications that you can take, including the Google certification that on Coursera that I've done a separate video on. I will link it here and also in the description in case if you haven't seen that video. The next role is product manager, not to be confused with the project manager, which is a more tactical role, more of a day-to-day kind of operation side of things, while product manager, I have to watch myself to make sure that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Product manager is responsible for a more strategic, for a more sort of a vision for the product. They look at the bigger picture, planning what the strategy for the product will look like, and their job includes looking out for trends of what might happen in the future, seeing how the product can fit in and how it should develop, developing that vision for the product and that strategy for the product going forward, how it should evolve, etc. Getting buy-in from all of the different stakeholders who might be decision makers or who are important in this process, and making sure that the vision is confirmed. So getting their buy-in on your vision and then planning out how the features and how the different aspects will be actually implemented. So again, lots of different types of skills, including communication, managing stakeholders, research, planning out vision, presentations. A lot of the skills that you might have from your previous jobs that you can just repackage as transferable skills, just like with project manager as well. Well, with project manager, you also have Scrum, which is more technical, but still, both of these roles are very interesting from a perspective of coming in from a different type of role, type of industry, because they require skills that can be transferable. The next on our list are UX designer and UI designer. Those roles are different, but I did group them up here just, for the sake of brevity, and because a lot of companies group them up when they, for example, don't necessarily have a budget to have two separate people carrying out those jobs, and so they have one person carrying them out. So UI design is user interface design and is concerned with designing essentially what you see, what you interact with on an app, whether it's desktop or mobile or any other type of device. They're designing the interface, whatever you're interacting with. While UX designer stands for user experience designer, they design the experience of the user. It's more of an overall, more of a holistic kind of approach, and not necessarily designing every single element, every single button, but more concerned with what is the experience going to be like, what is the problem that the users have, and how do we solve it with design, if that makes sense. And most user experience designers will be doing some type of user research, researching what that need is and how to best address it and all that stuff. And some companies, like for example Google, have user experience researchers as a separate role. In fact, that's one of the roles that I also looked at, because I love user experience design. Both of these roles require empathy in order to understand the user and their needs, design skills, and of course communication skills that will help you translate the design into the actual program. You need to be able to communicate with the developers who will actually end up building that product. I have a separate video where I explain the difference between UI and UX. So if you're still a little bit not sure which one is for you, or just, not really sure what the difference is, I will leave the link to that video in the description and also up here. And comment if you see that I'm actually on crutches filming that video. I just had an ACL surgery when I was filming that video, so I was on crutches and a wheelchair. Yay! The next role on our list is tech support. And yes, this role requires more technical knowledge than the other ones that I have already listed may have required, because you literally will be interacting with devices, supporting your organization, making sure that everything is running smoothly, that devices are maintained, that they are communicating to each other, and that all of the technology that the employees use is enabling them to be productive and do their best work, essentially. But tech support is honestly such a great avenue to get your foot in the door into more technical positions. If you want to go down the software engineer route, software developer route, or if you want to get into cybersecurity, if you want to have a career in cybersecurity. It's such a great pathway into all of those different directions, because you get to learn how devices work and you build a really solid foundation in that area. I have recently been introduced into the world of hardware myself with a cybersecurity course, Foundations in Cybersecurity course that I did. If you haven't seen my vlogs and you're curious to see what it was like, the link will be in the description and then up here. But basically, it is so much fun, and I really geeked out on some of the technology, and honestly, knowing how things work better and how devices communicate between each other gives me such a better foundation, such a solid understanding of how the industry works. And whenever something breaks, I will be much more equipped to help with that. But honestly, if you love taking things apart and you really geek out on how things work and you're interested about how things communicate between each other, honestly, well, okay, they're still scary. All the protocols and all the different things, they're still scary, even if you're interested in that stuff. But honestly, it's not as scary, but it's so interesting. Oh my God. Yeah. I have a separate video on an entryway into career in tech support. If you're interested, I will link it in the description and also up there. But yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool way into the tech world. And yes, you don't have to code. You just need to understand the foundations of how tech works. And there are a bunch of courses. Again, link up here for more info. Customer success. These teams are there to make sure that their clients, the company's clients, are successful and that everything's running smoothly and that they're happy with the way this company's software is working for them and it's enabling them to do their best job, etc. They're all about building and maintaining meaningful relationships with the client, because at the end of the day, there is a person you're dealing with a person at all times, right? So you're maintaining a relationship, solving their problems if any arise, and also advocate for them in front of the development team when it comes to new features or bugs, etc. You basically want to enable them to be super successful with the software. Customer success teams can also be kind of part of sales teams, upselling certain things, certain features to the clients, if it makes sense, if it will solve their problems. And in terms of skills, you definitely need communication and managing different stakeholders, because you have so many different types of internal and external people that you're talking to. And of course, empathy and relationship building, because like I said, at the end of the day, you're talking to a human, and being able to build a relationship is always important. Honestly, all business is just relationships, so important everywhere. And I did an interview with the founders of Women of Customer Success. If this is a role that you're interested in, watch the IGTV video. I don't know why IGTV video doesn't sound really great, but there is a video for you if you're interested in this role, and I will leave a link to it in the description. I don't think I can leave a link to it here, but in the description is where you will find it. We talk all about customer success roles, how to be successful, how to get into it, how do they get into it, what skills do you need, etc. So if this is something that sounds fun for you, sounds interesting, there. Speaking of connecting with people and building relationships, sales is a big part of tech, because if you don't make money with your software, with your product, with your company, it's not a business, it's a hobby. So you got to make money, and sales gets a bad reputation because of sleazy salespeople, those car salespeople that you think about immediately, or whatever salespeople that you think about immediately. And I have had the pleasure of interacting with a few of them. Yes, they're out there, but it doesn't have to be that way. Because sales doesn't have to be uncomfortable, it doesn't have to be in your face or super pushy. At the end of the day, sales should be about solving a customer's problem with your product, right? So it's connecting your product to a customer with a problem, and it has to be authentic. I first started understanding this concept after a sales training at Google, and then it was solidified in my head with my husband being in tech sales, and also one of our really good friends who was a roommate when I first moved to Denver, who also is in sales, who has an engineering background and came to sales. So he doesn't have an education in sales, neither does my husband, but they're super successful in their roles because they understand that it's all about understanding the customer's problems and asking them questions about the problem that they have, because everybody has some type of problem, and seeing whether your solution, whether your software can actually solve that problem, address that problem. And of course, that means that if it's not a good fit, you got to be transparent about it. But if it is a good fit, you are solving someone's problem. It's not salesy, it's not sleazy, it's just solving a problem. Oh, and sales does have a very nice perks, because you may be able to earn commissions, and that adds to the paycheck, and it's a very nice bonus. Learn more about how to become a better salesperson in your life in general in the link that I made about this. You can find it over here or also in the description, because I think that sales are skills that are just so vital to any individual, whether you are in sales or whether you're not, whether you're a business owner or whether you're working for a company as an individual contributor, as a manager. Sales is all about presenting your ideas and presenting them as solutions and pitching, etc. So watch that video if this is something that you're interested in. Technical recruiter. Recruiters are the people who connect the right candidates with the right companies, basically solve the need of companies needing talent and talent needing jobs, connecting them together. But technical recruiters need to be able to understand the needs of technical companies looking for technical talent. So essentially, they need to understand what different programming languages do, and all that stuff in order to find the right candidates that possess those skills. So technical recruiters, again, don't need to code themselves, but they do need to understand what the position requirements are, the technical requirements are, and find the right candidates, so that they need to understand why this why this candidate needs to have these things on their resume, and how to identify whether this candidate is actually knowledgeable in this type of technology or in this type of programming language. Speaking of recruiting, HR is also an option in tech, and the only difference here is that you might have more budget to play with and, more innovative perks to think about or to create for the company. Just like with HR, the next 3 roles are going to be very similar to that in other industries, just in the tech context, in the context of working for a tech company, which depending on the role may take more or less adjustment. However, most of the skills are also transferable. The first role in that super transferable list is marketing, and whether you are doing digital marketing, whether you're doing social media marketing, content strategy, SEO, there's so many different things that tech companies need because they need to be able to sell and reach their customers and maintain their customers and all that stuff. Marketing is needed in tech. So if you want to get into technology and you have marketing skills, perfect opportunity, perfect match. That's basically what I did in tech companies. I can speak from experience. It's been great. Apply. And of course, positions like legal counsel. When I worked at Google, I worked with a bunch of legal teams, just making sure that everything because I was working with external people, with YouTube creators, and I needed to make sure that all of the communications are right. If I was working with a vendor in Russia, for example, let's say a venue, I had to make sure that all the contracts are right and all that stuff. So I worked with the local legal counsel that would help me make sure that everything is aligned. Tech companies need legal help, and especially big giants like Google. So there's a lot of opportunity for people who are in the space, who are lawyers, who know all of this legal stuff and can apply their skills from just working at a legal company to working at a company like, a startup, or, well, I guess startups might not have the budget to have an in-house legal counsel, but bigger companies or startups with a bigger budget that are backed by VC funds or whatever, they do need legal help, and that's a great job for a lot of people because the hours might be better, the perks might be more interesting than working in the, specifically legal company. So yeah, great opportunity there too. And finally, finance, because these companies are making money and somebody needs to make sure that they're spending it right, budgeting out right, etc. Again, same thing, but just in a tech context, which may mean certain differences. I'm not a finance expert, but I know that, sales tax and all that stuff is completely different to retail, for example. But in certain countries, so many depends. Honestly, so many depends. It's the depends pyramid here, just like everything in the world. But a lot of opportunity there too. I hope this list has helped you see all of the different opportunities for you in tech. And no, you don't have to be technical. You don't have to be coding to be working in tech. I am an example of that because that's what I did at a big tech company and a bunch of small startups that were tech companies. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and if you are doing one of those jobs, if you've thought about those jobs before, just, free flow of thoughts. Let me know. I'm listening. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already, and please like, share, comment, dislike if you didn't like it. It's still engagement, but basically, if you can engage with my content, I would be so grateful because it really helps with the algorithm, helps spread the word, helps support this channel. So if you enjoy this content, please engage with it. It would be awesome. We can also be friends on other social media. You can find us as Stereotype Breakers. And yeah, I hope you're ready to break even more stereotypes. Come back here next week, same time, same place. I'll be here. Have a wonderful time today you're currently experiencing. Bye.